Principal probably set you off if you shout out doing Netflix. Subscription. Principal cut you off because you were doing it. Principal cut you off because you were doing Netflix.
Oh, okay, the meeting of the North Commission on July 16th will come to order. Do we do another roll call for today? Okay, so Laura, would you please do a roll call?
Adams.
Present.
Bailey.
Present.
Blecka.
Present.
Garcia.
Here.
Askett. I saw her out there. May.
Present.
Phillips. I saw. There he is. There's Marie.
I'm here.
Thank you. And Duke is in the meeting. I can see him, but couldn't hear him. Schaefer.
Present.
Hutchins.
Present.
Marty.
Present.
Kierhauser.
Here.
Nicole.
We have everyone. So good morning, everyone. It's nice to see everyone and certainly those on the screen as well joining us. Just a couple of quick updates to our agenda this morning. We are not going to do our 8:35 scheduled session. We'll explain why in a moment. And we'll also talk a little bit about committees. I promised to do that yesterday, so we'll build in a little bit of time to do that as well. So one, want to thank our hosts again last night. It was nice to be back together in person. We did have a scary event, and so I did want to ask Director Prinsloo to please update us on the health of someone that we all care about. So Director Prinsloo, if you would please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, 8:35, Jason Lawton could not make it to Forest Service, and our own beloved Pat Dorsey was going to fill in. But as you know, her husband, Lyle Wilmoth, last night had a medical emergency. He did get home and is better about midnight last night. He had low sodium levels and some dehydration. So everything looks pretty good. And I appreciate it. I'm Adrian Archuleta and Matt Thorpe, County Commissioner, Marcia Porter, Norton called 911. Appreciate everybody's help through that. So I think Lyle will be just fine. And that adjusted our agenda this morning. And also want to take a minute to give a shout out to Dan Gates and Jenny Berge of Outfitters Association and Sportsmen for sponsoring last night. We really appreciate it. It was a good discussion. Lyle was bothered than that, but it's a wonderful news that Lyle's better. So for that, thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Director Prinsloo. We are certainly indeed glad that that is was not as serious as I think some of us were concerned about. So we certainly keep both Lyle and Pat in our thoughts. And again, thank our hosts last night. So I think the first thing we're going to do is have a conversation. We have a draft of our meeting agenda for next year. After the places Laura distributed that, so we'll try to go briefly and then we'll come back to our conversation.
Okay, so if you're wondering how we start putting it together, on the right side of that form, you'll see the things that are on the calendar already, things that take a lot of staff and oftentimes commission. They typically, I think they're required to meet 6 times a year. Winter in the March and January meetings. With the legislature session, we try to stay close to the local area. May is traditionally the Grand Junction area. November is traditionally the Eastern Plains to kind of coincide with pheasant season. And it's just sort of been the preference that in the summer months, winter months we scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday to kind of avoid mountain weekend traffic.
Thanks, Laura. As you can imagine, this is it's quite an undertaking to sort of figure this all out. A couple of comments that I would make, and then I'll open it up for ideas or feedback. The dates that you'll see are fairly firm, so I would offer that to you based on a whole host of different things. And you'll see, Commissioner Adams also noted that sort of on the right-hand column, you can kind of see some of the other things that we sort of are working around, whether they're holidays or WAFWA or some other things as well. You'll see that we've been fairly open and broad about just sort of parts of the state, and that there's reasons for that. Laura will begin working on locations, as we noted here in Durango. We're in 2 different locations because we needed 1 location for the size of the room we're in, and then we also had to obviously abide by sort of government procurement rules around rates for hotel rooms and so forth. So there's lots of things that go into this. We are also given this training that we're doing. And I want to thank, by the way, for a moment, since I just said that, our entire IT team and our folks that help us make these meetings happen. They're here early, they set up, they come and do so much extra. So again, I just want to say thank you to you and the team. In that regard, we also have some higher bars for sort of broadband and capacity. So as much as I think we'd like to be in our smaller communities, and we will continue to try to do that wherever we possibly can, where there might be a college, university, junior college, or whatever, we will try to do that. But there are some limitations in terms of where we can be and where we can, in order to be as available to the public as possible. So we've got kind of hotel, logistics, IT. The other things that I looked at least with Director Prince and Laura, were where have you not been in the last, call it 5 years or so. So what you'll see here are locations just to try to mix it up a smidge. And while there are certainly traditions, we can be flexible on those, recognizing that there are also opportunities. I think many of us, when we were in Mesa County, there was an opportunity to think about maybe moving a little south in Mesa County to Gateway. As much as I think all of us would like to do that, there are some costs prohibiting things. We're working on some of those things. So we're working with hotels. We're trying to ask locations if they could be flexible in this environment right now. Given that our hospitality sector was so compromised during COVID, there isn't quite as much flexibility as I think we would like. So we will continue to work on that. The other things that we've tried to think about are stuff to see and do. Again, I think we like to be out in the field. We like to have site visits. We like to have an opportunity to learn, as we did yesterday at this fish hatchery. So for example, Eagle County was one of the suggestions that I made, because Sylvan Lake State Park has been under renovation for the last several years. It's finally complete. And we just dodged a pretty major wildfire there. So there could be an opportunity to see that. We're in meeker this year, so an opportunity to adjust slightly next year, potentially to see those. What's the idea there? And then again, Laura's working on the Eastern Plains option, and right now it's a broadband issue. So we'll just continue to work on these. If you're comfortable with this sort of the chunks of the state that we're in, we'll come back and continue to fine tune this agenda. And also remember, obviously, with 6 meetings or so, we won't get everywhere every year. So if we can look at sort of every other year, or look a year out from here and think about other places that we might want to be, let's be sure and flag those. If there's ones that you're interested in, we'll ask more for next year. So I'll stop there and just see if there are any quick comments on or blessings or ideas that you might have about this particular agenda, and we'll go from there.
I'd like to make the comment for January. I think we had scheduled to go to Aurora before COVID, so I think we should hold that and go there.
Yes, I think what we'll try to do, that's very appropriate. Again, we've already looked at a couple of options there. So Laura's working on that. did think that at least once a year we might be at the HQ and the, or at, just, whether it's January or March, one of those two. So we'll continue to work at some in sort of central, out sort of out in the kind of other parts of the Denver metro area. Sorry, Commissioner Haskett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple questions. In September, I guess I would like to see it somewhere other than in Steamboat. We've been to Steamboat 4 years ago, and we haven't been to Craig or to Walden or other places around in the Northwest. Don't know if Walden's even an option as far as internet, but we can look into that. Just somewhere different that we haven't been in the last 4 years. And then in July, and this would be a question for Dan or for Reed probably, that week is a conflict for me. I probably can't make the 21st, 22nd. So that's a week later than we usually are. But how many people go to WAFA or the summer WAFA? I know the winter WAFA is the big one, but how many go to the summer WAFA?
Thanks, Commissioner Haskett. Just the opposite. Most people go to the summer WAFA, winter's a small one with the just executive committee. So,
Okay.
Thanks, Commissioner Haskett. We will take those ideas into account. And it was in that Steamboat. I think you and I are probably the only ones who left. Maybe Commissioner Garcia. It was in 2017. So it has been 5 years, and there are a couple of state properties in there that could be an option. We will look into some other options in the kind of far northwest corner and see if we can accommodate something that would work with the broadband and all the things I just described. So thank you for that input. And we'll also look at the July dates as well. But I do think that those were somewhat specific given Waffle and all the other things that are going on in that time frame.
Yeah.
I'll just make the comment, we're talking about the Eastern Plate stuff and maybe not having the bandwidth to deal with it. Number one, raise up fiber, so we can go back there. But I also want to say Fort Morgan or Sterling would be an option too.
Thank you. I just mentioned Sterling to Laura when we were sitting at breakfast. So we'll look at us.
The Trails Committee has given some money in the last few years to this community, so again, we'll showcase that.
Great, wonderful. Thank you for those ideas. Yeah, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Chair. First, this looks great. Thank you so much for all the time to Laura, Chair. My two comments are, first, Laura, I want to make myself available, and I imagine that I think the commissioners will as well. When you're looking at these areas, to reach out to commissioners that are from that respective area and see if we can help get better deals or find places where community might really welcome commissioners and help with the financial components. So we can really focus on work that is so important talking to do. And second, just personally, I would love to host a commission in Orange Valley. It's not an option this year. If we can look at it next year. And then with that, maybe if there's also just some flexibility with the locations based on where commissioners have resources or connections that could help bring the costs down. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. Yes, we thought we might wait for the warrant for until next year, so we're there in 2018 or 19, I think. So let's make sure and pin that for next year. Great. Other comments, ideas, commissioners, although Commissioner Shaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to second what Commissioner Haskett mentioned. I know it's been a while from Steamboat, but to my recollection, it's been about a decade since the commission came to Craig. I think that was somewhere around 2010-ish or somewhere. I will also second, if it is any possibility, I'd love to get the commission up to Wood Park and be able to see some of the resources up there. I know that there's likely the constraints that you mentioned, but I want to mention it.
2 votes for Craig. Commissioner Garcia.
I'm just curious, I saw a note on here, doesn't open. Did we resolve when that is? We've got all these wonderful people here. We must know when the opening is. It's usually the second weekend, Saturday in November.
So we're looking at November 17th. Is that, yeah, so that makes sense. Yeah, that would be usually the weekend. Perfect. My other was, did we, June is the one that I don't think that we kind of open, is that fair? Yeah.
The whole thing's open.
Yeah, I know, but. So, San Luis Valley, I would really like us to do something in San Luis Valley. So, we have a commissioner in the valley who has a ranch that we might want to take a look at. So,
He's not present today, so he's being voluntold.
I'm being volunteered.
Commissioner Phillips, would you like to comment?
Like to host? Yeah, we're showing up.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, well, again, it was a little bit of a location question, so we will, and partly the reason that we had Chittenden County in there is that we did not get to Salida this year. We had kind of an optional meeting in the Salida area, so we thought since we didn't get there, we might circle back. And maybe the San Luis Valley is one of those we'll pin for the next year. Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to echo the comments around the thoughtfulness around this and just the appreciation of really hitting new spots. Obviously, want to help make myself available for any of the Aurora planning. And I also want to second, or I guess I'm the third Craig, I'm actually heading to Craig after this conversation for the casting glass and really trying to go to places that I haven't been before. So I appreciate our efforts in making sure that we are making our meetings successful. Those community dinners are everything to me. And to be able to have those opportunities, they're just, so I know we continue to have bandwidth, and I know I was just on the microphone yesterday saying how important hybrid is. At the same time, we may have to make some sacrifices where we may not have the connectivity that we need so that those folks have the access to us that they deserve just like everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams, and that's good for Craig. So, and I do think that there are a couple of options in Craig that will work from there's the hospital and sort of the college and others. So we'll work towards that. I think that's somebody that knows what they're doing in Craig, in and around Craig. Okay, any other comments? Recognizing this will be a little bit organic, but hopefully at least can mark the dates. We won't approve this until the next meeting. So if there are any substantive changes, I will ask Laura to reach out to all of you in the appropriate open meetings protocol and let you know if there's any tweaks to the dates or otherwise. I really appreciate the input, and I also want to give a shout out to Laura, who does so much for these meetings behind the scenes, again, here early, booking our hotel rooms, recognizing that we had a little bit of confusion at the front desk the other night about direct bill and this, that, and other thing. And there's a lot of details. So I just want to thank Laura for all that she does for us to get us here and to make sure that these meetings run really smoothly. So thanks to Laura. Okay, with that, I believe we have in-person public comments. I'll turn that over to you.
Chair Hauser. So we have one person signed up for a public comment this morning, Justin Moore. So he'll come up. He'll have 3 minutes for comments, and I'll give him a 15-second warning when it's time to shut down.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Justin Moore. Last July, this commission discussed the reissue process and asked staff how many licenses on average get issued via this method every year. Staff quoted 234 manually reissued licenses with no indication of additional licenses. Well, this figure is correct for licenses that take 5 or more preference points. It does not account for the over 4,000 other licenses that get issued every year since 2018. At that meeting, you also received comment from 2 gentlemen representing themselves and a handful of friends in support of your first come, first served method. Their statements about getting tags every year, even some 5 and 10 point tags, told me They have lifestyles that allow them to download the leftover list every 5 minutes. Speaking in private with one of them, I can confirm that is exactly who you heard from. You also heard from the president of the Colorado Outfitters Association, begging for a simpler solution to this problem. Unfortunately for her, there is a systemic failure in your relationship with Aspira. While Aspira has received yet another contract extension last summer, customers experienced delayed application dates and up to an hour-long online queues in purchasing licenses. The last few years, I've tried to use your chain of command to get better solutions within the hands of our customers. I've been told from as high as commission chairs, great idea, Justin. Unfortunately, our contract with Aspira prevents us from working with you. Now, I'm not saying that you have to work with me, but I am saying that Aspira has had a decade now, and the same old has gotten old. After we end here today, I'm going to send everyone on this commission an email with my solution that I've been showing your OIT and others since 2019. I would appreciate a response on how to accomplish similar goals. If you would rather hear from thousands of citizens, ignore my email. And I'll put your email address on every single notification about these licenses that I send to your customers this year. That's up to 20,000 notifications per week from August to January. The truth of the matter is, I agree with you. The CPW spent way too much money on iPods to walk away from Aspira. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Other questions for Mr. Moore? None. Mr. Adams.
Thank you for your comments today. Right. I guess my question, it's not so much a question, it's just a comment of, I'm noticing that this is a theme, a challenge that has been expressed and is continuing. And I know that the agency is working very hard. I know that you are working very hard. And more so, just the comment I wanted to say is I hear your frustration. I hear that you've tried to do multiple approaches and strategies and work with many different people to get there. And I ask for your patience, and patience is a verb. Patience isn't sit and do nothing. Patience is waiting in preparation, right? And so I'm happy to read and review whatever you have, but know that we're working in step together, right? And that this is not an easy thing, right? And so I just want to know, we hear you, right? That we have, a lot of, you're seeing new faces, you see new energy, right? You see new opportunities, you see old faces, but we're doing new things. And this is very exciting, right? And what I need from you, and I hope, is that this energy, although I understand the frustration, it makes it hard, right, for us to work together, right? I'm getting this energy, right? And I know you're upset and frustrated, right? I've been there, I've been you, right? And so I'm just asking for, how can we find a place of calm to have this conversation, right? And so that's my response to you. Yeah, I hear you, I hear and see your frustration, we hear you, we see your frustration. We're all working hard to figure this out as we have multiple stakeholders to address and fiscal issues to address as well. But what I don't want is thousands of emails from people that I don't know, which is exacerbating a tension that we already have, right? We have a lot of tensions already. So how can we present this in a way that is not throwing fire, right? And this is from me. You see me in other meetings, I know fire, right? And this is what I'm trying to learn too, right? How do I not try fire? To meet in the middle, right? So as Rumi says, beyond wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. We'll meet you there. Thank you.
Questions, Thomas?
Sure. And Justin, I appreciate what you're saying. I came on the commission just a year ago, and before I was on the commission, I understood some of the problems with Aspira. I think we addressed some of those. So where that puts us now is we have a contract and we expect them to perform. If there's non-performance, then that's another issue. I agree with what Commissioner Adams said, that we understand this. And I think it's up to all of us to make sure that these things happen. And if there is a flaw in the system, we need to be aware of it and we need to correct it. There's obviously a lot of room for improvement. So I also welcome your input, and I'll do what I can to see, let's smooth this system out. There's got to be a better way. There seems to be a continual litany of complaints and problems, and it's up to us, I think, as policymakers to make sure that we get the best we can to address that. So I appreciate you taking the effort to come here and address it. And speaking for myself, I definitely will be interested to make sure that we follow through.
One moment before, I'm gonna call on Danielle Eisenhardt, who's on the screen, Danielle?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. For the record, Danielle Eisenhardt, I'm the Licensed Reservation and Customer Operations Section Manager. The only other comments that I'll add to Mr. Moore's testimony is we are continuing to improve our working relationship with our current vendor, Aspira, and I think we are making improvements with QIT and other things for leftover day, etc. We are also going out to an RFI for a new vendor selection later this year. So again, we are not, set with Aspira forever. We are going out for the RFI, RFP process. So happy to look at Mr. Moore's proposal as well when it comes to the commission.
Thank you, Danielle. Mr. Moore?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Adams, thank you for responding. You are correct that there is no need for a fight here, that patience is a virtue. Unfortunately, we've had a decade of patience with the Spirit. Personally, I tried to avoid sending thousands of emails to this commission. I come and I speak maybe once a year to try to keep the pressure as low as possible. I told you I use your chain of command because that's what I'm really trying to do. But there's only so many years I can be told, great idea, Justin. Sorry, but a Spirit is in your way. Try to get third-party APIs. And when I try, this is what I get told. So I am exercising the patience that you are asking, but you gotta work with me. You can't do things like what you did this year, and the reissue process that we have this year, we might not crash your system. But we all know that we're gonna have hour-long queues. Your queue system is the same experience as a crash for your customers. It's the same thing to us. You can say that it's not a crash. Congratulations. It's the same experience.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I'm going to turn to Commissioner Haskett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Moore, are you not the person who owns an app called Leftover Watch?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I look forward to what you are going to send us, but Leftover Watch was not equitable for all. And I know you don't like what we changed, but to make it equitable for all, we had to change something. And if what you're going to present will provide equity for everyone, that's a good thing. But there is no easy answer to any of this. This year, for the secondary draw, license sales or applications actually almost doubled. There's a tremendous want out there for people to apply for a license, and we don't have the supply anymore either. So there's a huge problem for everyone. And I look forward to see what you have to, what you've come up with, but make sure that it is equitable for all. Thank you.
Mr. Moore, one more minute, and then we're going to move on.
Thank you. Commissioner Haskett, I hear you. I appreciate that you're looking forward to it. When you said that you were on my app and you didn't enjoy the experience, nothing could have made me happier because you probably experienced the same thing that everyone else on my app had. Really easy to set up, really easy to get the notifications, but getting through the iPod system was the struggle. what you probably didn't understand was that on average, hunt quotas came out at 1.6 per license. And I sent those notifications to 600 other people, and that's why I struggled with my system. Thankfully, the only person that can change that is you, Commissioner Haskett.
Thank you, Mr. Moore, for your comment today, and I know you've been before us before. You've gotten some response from us, and we will certainly take any email you send to us with open eyes. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Moore, thank you for coming today. I appreciate anybody that takes the time to come in and provide public comment. I will say one thing, this is personal. As a commissioner, I don't react well to threats. Never have, never will. So I really appreciate it. If you want to come to me individually online, call me, do whatever you want. And I would be happy to talk to you and work with you. But when you come in and tell me if I don't, I'm going to get hundreds of thousands of emails. Frankly, I don't need to hear that, Mr. Moore.
All I'm asking for is a response, sir.
And you can get it without threats.
That's the only thing I'm asking for is a response.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're going to move to the consent agenda, please. And I don't believe we had any changes to the consent agenda, so I will request a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Is that Mr. Phillips?
Phillips.
Thank you.
A second.
Commissioner May. We'll do a quick voice vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, we passed the consent agenda, so we will move on to item 29A, which is Amanda Nims and Carlin Armstrong. Are you on with us virtually? Okay, Amanda, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. Thank you, directors, commissioners, Chair Hassett. Last year in November, the commission approved, I'm going to share my screen, sorry. Laura, may I please share my screen?
Oh, one moment.
Amanda, we're working on it.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, I'm working on it, so.
Okay, thank you. Well, last year in November, the commission approved Director Prenslow's final funding recommendations for the 2020 RFP of the Colorado Wildlife Habitat Program. You voted to move forward a total of 9 projects out of 27 proposals submitted to protect 25,000 acres for wildlife habitat conservation and 14,000 acres for new public access, which will allow for hunting, fishing, and wildlife viewing across the state. And you approved this with a total budget of $19.6 million. And since the commission's November approvals, 2 things have happened. First, of the 9 2020 projects, 2 have fallen out of consideration, leaving only 7 projects to move forward, while also freeing up $8.6 million of the budget. And then second, one of 2020's non-selected proposals, which offers new public fishing access, has become better understood to be part of a much larger conservation opportunity that will provide not just public access, but also additional significant conservation benefits as well through multi-partnered habitat restoration. So these events have encouraged us to come back to you to discuss this opportunity to still significantly reduce the approved 2020 budget, while also partnering with an important public access and habitat conservation project in Northwest Colorado.
Andy, you should be able to share your screen.
Okay, great. Thank you. So like Jake, so the RFP is a real estate program that involves private transactions with landowners that we cannot speak of publicly during the project evaluation and negotiation stages of these deals. So with respect, I request that we please move into executive session to discuss the project known as NWA 09-2620, and it will be there that I am joined by Carlin Armstrong.
I'll turn to Jake Matter for this protocol.
Yes, Chair. As Ms. Nim stated, And as identified on the agenda, we intend to move into executive session pursuant to the open meetings law, which provides a special exception for the commission to meet privately to discuss the purchase of property for public purposes, as well as to receive legal advice. And the two specific provisions of the open meetings law that enable us to do so are Title 24, Article 6, Section 402(3)(a)(1) and 2 of the open meetings law. So with that, I'd invite you to request a motion to enter executive session. And executive session especially, you need a supermajority of 8 commissioners to enter executive session. So if you can do a roll call, that would be beneficial too.
Yep, so I will, is there a motion to enter executive session? Commissioner Ray?
Madam Chair, I move that we enter into executive session.
And a second? Commissioner Ray? And we'll do a roll call vote for this. Thanks, Laura.
Adams,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Lecca,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Haskett,
Yes.
Nate,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Touchton,
Yes.
Birdie,
Yes.
Terhauser.
Yes.
Curtis Nance.
So I think we need a quick moment, Deanna, to do the appropriate protocols for our virtual audience. 09/26/20. So I will ask for a motion to approve the director's recommendation to move RFP projects as just indicated to tier 1. This is perpetual access and habitat restoration easement.
So moved.
Commissioner Garcia is at first, Commissioner Schaefer second. I think we will do a roll call vote on this one, Laura.
Okay, Adams,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
She stepped out for a minute.
Garcia,
Yes.
Haskett,
Yes.
May,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Yes.
Touchton,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Chair Hauser.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, we are almost at our magic hour. I wanted to, we talked a little bit yesterday about committees, so I wanted to bring that back up. So a couple of places where I have that information. So thanks to Jake, I'm going to pull this together. So we have a couple of opportunities for commissioners to serve on committees. Currently, I want to scroll back and get Commissioner Black's vote on the last item. Would that be permissible?
Oh, sorry, yes.
We exited executive session and voted on the item that we just discussed. Yes, thank you. I apologize for that. Makes it unanimous. Thank you. So we have a couple of opportunities for commissioners to serve on various different committees. Currently, if I have it correct, Commissioner Adams represents us on the Natural Resources Council, Natural Areas Council, thank you. Commissioner Blackout on the Trails Committee, correct. Commissioner Garcia chairs our Finance Committee. And then there are 2 opportunities on the GOCA board, which were questions were asked about that yesterday. Unfortunately, per constitution, Jake and I did verify this yesterday, there's not a statutory fix to this, but constitutionally, the 2 GOCA seats need to be filled, one by a sports person and the other by an outdoor utilization of parks and outdoor utilization. So in each of those spaces, there are 3 commissioners that are eligible. Commissioner Garcia currently serves in one of those seats, and I serve on the other. It is my opinion that the chair should probably not have the capacity to both serve as chair and in one of these committee opportunities. When Commissioner Howard was both chair and on the GOCA board, he did serve a couple of more meetings on GOCA to provide some transition. And the GOCA staff has asked that I do the same if I'm able to. We're also hosting, I am hosting in my day job, the September GOCA board meeting. So I've agreed to just allow a little bit of transition. There are several new GOCA board members. We have executive director search taking place. And so the staff has asked for a little bit of continuity through the next couple of months. So my commitment to all of you is that I would release that seat sometime in early fall. The other 2 commissioners that are eligible for that seat are Commissioner Adams and Commissioner Touchton. If you have interest, please let me know later. We'd obviously have to think about the other committees as well. So I believe Commissioner Garcia is interested in continuing on GOCA. Again, for that continuity, he serves on the executive committee. And given that we have a search taking place, and I serve in the same role when I was vice chair, I can attest that you will have time to do both. Vice chair is nice, and there are opportunities and bandwidth, I think, to do other things. So that's how it lays out in terms of opportunities. I'm sorry to our ag and our at-large members, at least on the GOCA piece, you're just not eligible for those seats. So you can either do flip-flops and say hallelujah, or unfortunately, we have explored that several times, and it would take a change of the Constitution to make that possible. So to the 4 of you, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, as they say. So if you have interest, or just want to raise, to me, interest in any of those and any kind of fluctuations, we'll bring that back, to the full commission. And hope that helps, address the questions, and I'm certainly happy to take questions, comments, Commissioner.
I had a question about the committees, the trails committee and the natural areas committee. Are those limited to one commissioner? Or are they available for more than one commissioner?
The language that Jake sent me was that they are one commissioner each, but they do not have the restrictions that a GovCo does, so they are open to any commissioner. I don't suppose it matters if you show up and want to observe those committees, but there is one designated commissioner to each of those, yes. Yeah.
Since Commissioner Garcia will be rolling off next year of this commission, I'm just curious if, as far as like, there will be another absence, and so well then the next person who fills the sports person seat will then, because I mean, it's just the two of us, so I'm just trying to figure out like, what is the math on that?
Well, Commissioner Garcia is eligible to be reappointed if that happens, so we'll see how that, you have to see how that all plays out. But yes, there are 3 each eligible for those 2 seats. So one of those seats constitutionally, and this was just when their code was created, and it was, as my understanding is, it was a recognition to sort of continue to represent parks and to continue to represent wildlife. So that I can look at Doug Vilsack too, because he's been involved in this as well. So there are 3 sports persons, includes Commissioner Haskett. As well, and then there are the outdoor utilization parks, and there's 3 of those that are eligible as well.
Thank you very much for the clarification, and I also wanted to take a moment to acknowledge happy belated non-binary People's Day, and in this moment I was reminded because we use the term sports person, and again, thank you for this shift in the language to be more inclusive, not only to men and women, but to non-binary people. So I just wanted to take a moment of appreciation for all of us as we move towards more inclusive language. Thank you.
Commissioner Hutchinson.
Well, one thing, I don't want to further reduce our choices, but I should withdraw myself for any possibilities to GoCo board, because my day job works for an organization that frequently comes to GoCo with its head in its hand. So I feel that I would be conflicted if I was constantly recusing myself. So you're down to one choice.
Okay, thanks for that.
Charlie.
Good to know. You can always work through all those things. So thank you for that. And the only last thing I just want to mention, just as a courtesy to everyone, is that the remaining food last night, thank you, Dan Gates, was donated locally to our local food bank here. And that got there, I think, fast enough for all the food handling protocols, and the call was made in advance to make sure that that could get there. So thank you again, Dan, to you and to the other partners that hosted us last night. I thought, short of what we all were very concerned about at the very end of that event, it was a very nice evening to be together. So thank you again. Yes, Commissioner Garcia.
So I just want to thank all of the CPW folks here in Durango for hosting us. A wonderful job. It's really great to be down here again. And big thanks and congratulations to our new chair for her first meeting, and what an absolutely amazing job you've done. Thank you.
I said to my husband last night when I had it across, and my goal was to just not mess it up. So I think with a lot of help from so many of you, and certainly Laura and Dan and Jefferson and just the entire team, I've been through my first round of prep calls and everything that it takes to sausage make what comes to us as an agenda, and just want to say thank you to everyone that makes it look a lot easier than I think it is. So, so we will, if there are no other comments or business to bring to attention, any other comments, our 3 commissioners that are online, anything that you'd like to add before we close out? Mr. Bailey, how did it go for your first meeting? We hope to have you to get with us in person and meet her.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for a wonderful first meeting, and I'm excited to meet everyone in person next time.
Right. Mr. Haskett, Commissioner Phillips, I know Commissioner Haskett is looking very forward to having us meet her. So plan to have a fabulous time in Meeker. I'm just saying. Commissioner Husky, want to mention anything or say anything about our upcoming meeting in September?
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody here and in person. I'm sorry I missed you this time.
We wish your dad well, so please give him our best. Mr. Phillips, anything from you before we close out?
No, thank you for everything, and echo, sorry I had to back out last minute, but full intention to see you all in Meeker. Thank you.
We understand we called for you as well. So thanks to everyone else. So some of you might be sticking around to enjoy the Durango area. We will, I would accept a motion to adjourn the meeting. Commissioner Brady, seconded by Commissioner May. I think we can do a quick voice vote. All in favor of getting out of here a little early? Please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Safe travels, everybody, and thanks to the entire staff.
Thank you.
I have 3 more minutes.